Hi there, my name is BJ Kitchen and I'm with University College with the University of Maine system. What I'm going to show you in this tutorial today is just how to access your maine.edu account so that you can create a new Google site using a template, in fact the template that's designed for your course, and then how to modify that site that you've created to be your ePortfolio. I'm going to orient you to the various tools that you'll need to know to edit and change the content, and then the various security settings so that you can share your site with just the people you want to and no more. So without further ado, let's get started. So some of you may be familiar with this, but the first thing that you want to do is log into the UMA website at uma.edu, and then at the top menu you'll notice all the way to the right beside the search menu, if you mouse over that, you can then expose the drop-down menu, which will allow you to click on My UMA Portal there on the right under Search UMA. Let's click on that. So then you land on this portal login page. Let's log in. That would be the next step. Okay, and once we're logged in, we'll notice in the Quick Launch navigation menu we have several shortcuts to various items that are available to you. We're interested in logging into the Gmail button there. Let's click on that. And so once we're logged into the Gmail account, we can then notice the top bar at the top of the Google app here. And this bar is called the Google bar, and it is at the top of almost all Google apps. So if you ever want to access your sites that you have in a particular account, and of course in this one we're referring to the maine.edu account, you would go to your Google bar here at the top, and as you can see right there in about the middle is the link to Google Sites. So let's click on that. And so here we are, and you can see that I have a lot of sites going. The very first thing that you're going to want to do is begin by creating a site. So as you can see rather conspicuously there on the left is a big red button with the word create in it, and that's where we start. Let's click on create. Now you're at a screen where you're asked to either select a template, the one being blank of course, and that's not the one we want. We want to browse the gallery for more. So let's go ahead and start by clicking on Browse the Gallery for More. And then this select a site template, it defaults to the maine.edu templates that are available. You'll notice there are a few. And right here at the bottom is a new one that I've created for you. And the name of this template is UMA Nursing ePortfolio Template. Let's go ahead and click on that. So the window that we see here gives us a quick snapshot of what the home page looks like. But if you're interested, you can go ahead and preview the template. Let's click on Preview the Template, which is to the right of the image. And now you're looking at the template itself to give you an idea of what you're getting into. And you can click on the menus. They work. And as you click through this, you can see that most of the content here is empty. It's just giving you some placeholder pages, which you can modify in its entirety. And so it looks like this is the template we want to use. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this window, and I come back to the selected template. Let's go ahead and select this one. Okay, so now we can see that we can choose the blank template, or we can choose the UMA Nursing ePortfolio template that we just selected, and then you would name your site. So we'll just throw in a name here. We'll call it Snazzy. Now you'll know that if you enter a name that's already been taken within the maine.edu domain, you'll get an error telling you that that name is already taken, and so you may need to type in something different. But go ahead and do that. So I'm going to click Create Site. And this may take a minute or so while it does its thing, putting all your website together and filing it on the server and presenting it through the network. Alright, so your new site has been created. As you can see, it drops the name into the title there. That's the Snazzy website right there. So what I want to do is orient you to what you're seeing here and how you go about changing this content to suit your needs for your ePortfolio. What I'd like your attention to come first is right up here to the top where all the action takes place. You'll see that we have 4 buttons here. The first one is Edit Page. Next one is Create a New Page. You have a More button. When you click on this, you have a lot of options here to choose from. I'll go over what some of those are. And then you have a Share button. And this Share button is where all the action takes place with regard to security and sharing your site. And I'll give you a little more of an overview here in just a short while. Okay, so carrying on with some orientation to the page. you should know there's some language that will probably be helpful to you if you understand what it's referring to, and that is some of the language used to define the parts of a web page or a website. Most of you probably have heard these words before, but I'm going to go over them anyway, just to make sure that you have what you need so that when you see menu items with these sorts of words in them, you know what it is you're modifying. So this top part of the page that has our title in it, this is the header. And in the header, we can see that currently the site search is located there. Site search is very powerful. Remember, this is Google, so Google Sites uses Google search technology. And this site search feature right now only searches within your site. So it's very powerful. If you can't remember where you place something, let's say you have a larger site, you can use your own site search and find what you're looking for. Down the left-hand side here, this is called a sidebar. And in the sidebar, we have a widget. All of these are widgets. So you can customize all of the information here in the sidebar. And I'll show you a little more about that and point you to the resources you need to understand that in just a short while. This middle area here, which is everything to the right of that sidebar in this particular template, is the body of the web page. And it contains a title, which I don't think we have up. On the home page, the header is usually the title, but there could also be a title box here that we can edit. And then the body is all this content within that here. And then at the bottom underneath the line, we have the footer. And the footer right now contains just a link to UMA and the name of the nursing program. And then at the very bottom, that's called the subfooter. So those are the various parts of the web page that are pretty consistent throughout the entire site. So as long as you know this top part is the header, the right side is a sidebar and contains widgets that you can modify. The middle is the body, and the bottom is the footer, and underneath that is the subfooter. Okay, so again, orienting you to how would I edit the body area of my web page. Well, what you need to do is you need to go up here to the right hand side again to where we have the edit page pencil or pen, and we click that. Now when we click that, you'll notice that the web page makes available to you a menu and a ribbon of functionality. Some of this should look pretty familiar to you. It resembles other applications you use, such as word processors and Word. But we now see that we're on the home page. We have this menu to insert, format, tables, and layout. And then we have the ability to change our font style, or excuse me, font type, the size of our font, and then some modifications to create bullets and links, and indent or indent out, and then justify left, center, or right. Remove all formatting, and then look at the HTML, which if you don't know anything about HTML, you probably do not ever need to touch this button if you are comfortable with some HTML. And for those of you who are, this is probably where you'll live most of the time because it gives you absolute control over the layout of the content. So these buttons here help you modify and change anything within the body of the page. If you notice, I can't change the header, I can't change the sidebar, I can't change the footer. I can only edit content in the middle here. I can edit the title, which now says home. I can edit this welcome message. I can add to this welcome message anything I like. I'll go ahead and delete that. I can modify the information in this cell here. This is a table that's containing these two items. I can also change this image here or how it aligns with the text. If I click on an image like this, which is called an object, I can then do some modifications here. I can even delete it. If I click undo, I can bring it back. There's your undo right there. Try it again. There it goes. And it comes back. And if I want to add a new image here, it's probably best to just go ahead and delete this. And then if I want to insert an image, I would go up to insert. And as you can see, insert gives me a lot of options. I could insert an image. And then Google lets me either upload an image that I have on my computer, or if I know the URL of an image that's on the internet, I can put it in there. I should always add alt text. Alt text makes it so that if somebody is using a screen reader or a browser that disables images, the images that I put there will be described in language rather than only observable through vision. So there's a quick overview of the various ways to modify the content within the body of an image. And then anything you see that has one of these gray boxes around it, that's an editable area. You can put anything you like in there. So I could add images or more text. I could add bulleted lists. There's all kinds of things I could put in there, or I could put nothing in there. And when I'm done making all of my changes, as you can see, I've left that image out. I can click Save. So after clicking Save, my edit bar goes away and the editable fields are now no longer outlined. This is what everybody sees that has permission to see my site when they come to my ePortfolio. So let me click on one of the navigation items on the left-hand side here so we can look at a different page. So let me click on Resumes and Professional Accomplishments. Now, as you can see, this particular page allows you to add files, add links, move to, delete, subscribe to changes. And so if I click on any of these, I can actually start interacting with the page from this view. Now, these are only visible to people who have editing privileges because the Google Sites knows who you're logged in as. And if you're the owner, well, you can see all of these and you can add links and you can move to folders or delete or subscribe to changes or all of those sorts of things. Now, subscribe to changes is probably going to be viewable to also visitors, but you want them to be able to do that. And what that means is if you add things here, they might get a notification that you've added something new. So there's something to think about there. But again, there's the body content in here that we want to be able to edit. So again, how do you edit that? Well, you go up to your pen and you edit page. So once that's been made available, you can see that we have a title here that we can edit. We have a body area that we can edit. So what can you put in this body area? Again, anything. It's essentially a blank sheet of paper where you can insert images, add links, add tables of contents, add subpages, horizontal lines. You can insert, say, videos such as a YouTube video or a Google Docs video. You can add spreadsheets, presentations, anything you want in here that's available. You can change the formatting using the menu item or these buttons over here. You can insert a table, and if you want to insert a table, you can say how many rows and cells do you want to add. We're not going to add any. Well, we added one, so let's undo that. I don't want to do that. And you can change the layout so that you have a 2-column, 1-column, 2, and any of these sorts of layouts here. All of this stuff I'm giving you just an orientation to right now. You'll be needing to explore these and experiment with what they do. One thing to know is you cannot break anything forever because you can always back out to your previous version of a page or the website. So please do explore and don't be afraid to do things that you'd rather undo because you will be able to do that. I'll also be providing you with a link to a website that gives you really detailed instructions on how to manage all of these different things that I'm whizzing through right now in this orientation in a very detailed step-by-step way. And so I've saved that page and I go back and now this is how it appears to folks who are just visiting. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is just how to orient you to where would you go if you wanted to edit the header, or you wanted to edit the sidebar, or you wanted to edit the footer. Because as you've seen, we've only been able to edit the body of a web page by using the Edit Page button. So let's go to More now instead of Edit Page and down to Edit Site Layout. So to edit the header, sidebar, or footer, we go to More and Edit Site Layout. We get this new window here, and currently the width of our web page, which is the edges that you see here, is set to custom or 920. You can change that. We have a custom footer, we have a sidebar, we have no horizontal navigation, and we have a header. If you want to edit any of those that are made visible, you actually just click on them. We can change the header there. Again, I'm providing you with a website so that you can have all of the detailed steps. I'm not going to show you the detailed steps for doing all of this right now. This is just an overview. Click Cancel. You can edit this sidebar. You can edit the navigation. You can edit this custom text box if you want to put anything in there. Or if you click plus, you can add other kinds of widgets. Recent activity, countdown. Let's add the countdown. That's kind of neat. And so if we click on that, it says today is 0. So what does that mean? So let's click on this sidebar and edit it. Let's say that we have an end date of July 4th because we're excited about the upcoming holiday. If I click on choose date and then go to July 4th and then click OK, I now have a countdown, 46 days until July 4th. Now you might call that the end of the semester, when some other special event is due. Just a neat way to add something special to the sidebar widget here. And again, to get there, I just click on the plus sign and I can pick from any of the widgets or the tools that are available. And finally, if I want to edit this footer, I can click on the footer and I can edit. Now this is just page content, very easy to edit. You can make this whatever you like. Maybe you want to add your own image or a different set of text. It's, as you can see, if I click on this, I'm aligned left justified, and my text over here is right justified, and so they separate to both sides of the page, and then OK. And so that's how you would edit any of these areas: 1, 2, 3, header, sidebar, footer. So let me just spend a little more time showing you what's underneath this More tab. This menu here, I'm not going to click through each one of these. I just want you to take a look at this. Please explore this. Here's that revision history I was talking about earlier. If you don't like what you just did and you can't go back quickly and just hit undo, well, what you can do is you can come to this revision history and click on this revision history, and you'll see a list of changed saves of each of your pages or your site, and you can revert back to the next one until you get back all the way to the very, very beginning. Not that you would do that, of course. You're going to put a lot of work into this, but you have the option to come back and change back to something where you can undo something that you didn't quite expect. You can subscribe to page changes. Now, this is more useful to when you have multiple editors or collaborators helping to build a site. If you're automatically subscribed to this, so it doesn't really matter. You're not going to be notified of your own work. But if you're working with others to work on a site and they come change something, all of the other collaborators get a little notification saying, hey, something was changed, and here's a link to what was changed, so you can come check it out. Page settings. These page settings, I will click on that, allow you to do a couple of things such as show page title. Maybe you don't want to show page title. Now, when you click on page settings, this isn't this is a global activity. So if you, a page level activity, not a global activity. So if I don't want to show page title on a page and I click on more, these page settings will relate only to that page. You can add a description. You can allow comments on a particular page. Now, in order for somebody to make comments, I think they actually have to be logged in, and you have to have made your site viewable. If you want to turn those comments off, you can turn those comments off. Show this page in the sidebar. That's if you're using a different kind of navigation. And you can actually change the URL that links to this page. But we're not going to worry about any of that. Let me just cancel there. Let's go back to the More button. You can print this page. That gives you a nice printable view of your pages. You can move this page, meaning you can put it somewhere else in the navigation. So notice you see a lot of extra pages in your template, and we're only using a few of them. Explore these extra pages and talk with your professor, your instructor for this course, about their potential usefulness. You can use them. There are lots of fleshed out sample templated pages, but I've only added the ones that are pertinent to your particular course at this time. Going back to the More button, you can delete the page and you can preview page as a viewer. Let's go ahead and click on preview page as a viewer. So if I were here and I'm just logged into the internet and this is a public page, this is what I see. I see no fancy buttons at the top. I'm looking at this as if it were just a web page and a web page only. Okay, so going back to my view as owner of this, if I go further down, I can save this page that I've created as a template within my website. So what's nice about that is if I make a particular layout on a new page, this allows me to save that page so that I can just use that layout again and not have to recreate it. Again, I can change some of the settings for subscribe to site change. Oh, this is page changes versus site changes. They each do the same thing, except this one does it on a page level and this one does it on the site level. Edit site layout, we just went over that. Manage this site, we're going to be going to that next. You don't need to pay attention to sign up for AdSense. Sharing and permissions will take you to the same place this big blue button takes you. So they end up in the same place. That's just two ways to get there. Sites help. I recommend using this all you like. So let's click on it real quick. Sites help is just a full-on Google documents about how to use sites. Your questions can be answered here. The search is your friend. The beginner's guide, using places and sites together. All of these sorts of things. And so then finally at the bottom there is report an issue. And if you have something you'd like to let Google know about, feel free to do that. So the very next thing we're going to do is click on Manage Sites, and then let's go ahead and click on that now. So we are into the Manage Sites tab, which is where we just clicked. Again, with all of these things that I'm orienting you to right now, the very next thing for you to do is to take after this orientation and go explore. Click on these things, read what's going on. The goal there is to just click on things and see what you see and orient yourself to the various menus of sites so that you can be more familiar with the various things that you're able to do. Don't try to edit your pages right out of the gate after this orientation. I really recommend exploring with no editing or design goals in mind. You won't be able to do that as effectively until you've explored this navigation. And so let's just explore this page a little bit. So here you can see I can change my site name here and show site name at the top of pages. You have a choice. I can use categories if I want to. I've used this category in case somebody's trying to look this up. You have other options here too, like which page do you want to be your home page, the landing page, which is the page that lives at the end of your home URL. Do you want to add a site description? That's up to you. That's if you're listed on Google or something. This site description is often what shows up underneath the web page title itself. Enable and configure search options. Explore this. You have some choices about what your search this site does on your various pages. Take a look at that. Do you want to enable Google Analytics for this site? Well, in order to do that, you have to have a Google Analytics account. So my guess is you don't. So not to worry about that. And then you have other things here, and some of this that you may not worry too much about. I do recommend clicking automatically adjust site to mobile phones. I think that's a good option to have in every case because of how many of us actually use our mobile devices to surf the internet. And again, if you make any changes ever, just make sure you click save. And so there it saved our changes. On the left-hand side, we have this sidebar, and under that side we have recent site activity, pages, attachments, page templates, app scripts, which you probably will never deal with, deleted items. You might look there in case you want to restore something that you'd previously deleted. Again, sharing and permissions, the same as the blue button on the home page. AdSense you won't really pay attention to. Now the bottom two you might spend a lot of time with, so colors and fonts. Colors and fonts. This allows you to do some changes to the colors and fonts and to pick various themes that you might decide you want a different look and feel for your site. Ooh, look at that. That's kind of hard to read. Not a big fan. You can pick any of these and just get a look. Now you've changed nothing until you click save, but you might want to change some of this to personalize it and make it match your design sense and goals. And so by clicking through some of these, oh, that's not bad. That seems kind of soft and nice. You can do that. And then you can go in and you can click on the more lower level specific. You want to change the actual color of the page link fonts. Currently they're set to this dark blue. Let's say I want to make them light blue. I go ahead and I click on that. Notice that they changed here. Let's try it again. Now they're purple. Let's make them bright red. Now they're bright red. So you get a preview of how they'll look on the page. Let's change the background color. So use the theme default. Now let's make it a custom color. What if I like orange? So yeah, no, maybe I don't like orange. What about white? Well, no, that doesn't quite fit either. So let's go back to use the default theme. So you have some options here, and you can. And if you scroll down through these options, this is a big long list. You can change everything, every color, every font, every little thing that you want to play with. Explore here, poke buttons, see what happens, know what it's going to do. This can be fun. Do this, and then when you settle in on the kind of theme and look you want, this might be the best place to start. Then go back and start filling in your content. This is a great activity to get to know some of sites' customization features. And then under themes, I do want to leave this page. I'm not going to change anything there. I get that same long list that I was just looking at, but with a little more icons so that I can get a better judgment of what it is I might do. Let's say I want to do that. Let's click on the preview button there underneath it. If I do that, that'll bring up a version of that theme with my site so I can have a preview of what that might look like. Looks like something pasted on a bathroom wall. So play with these. Get a look for the explore what the menu items do. Push the button, see what it does. That's the only way you're going to come to know what's possible within Google Sites. The last thing I'd like to go over with you is probably the most important thing, and so I want you to remember it, is how do you manage sharing and permissions to your site. Again, let's go up to the right hand corner, and the very last button is the share button, the blue button, which is present in all of Google's apps, be they Google Drive, Docs, or so forth. Let's click on share, and then we're brought to this sharing dialog, and the very first thing we see is that this is the site we want to share. Snazzy, right now it's set by default for all of your sites, University of Maine system only, which means you have to be logged in to your maine.edu account in order to see this site. So let's click change to see what the other options are. We can make public on the web, which is exactly what it sounds like. It means it can be found in Google searches and found on the web. Anyone with the link, which means it can't be found in Google searches, but if somebody has the link, because you've given them the link, they can enter that link into an address bar and on any URL and take a look. This is the default University of Maine system, only people at the University of Maine system. This is interesting, people at the University of Maine system with the link. So now not only do they have to have the link, but they also have to be logged into the University of Maine system. And this last one, which is where you probably will start and want to change to right away when you first create your template, is private, which means only you and specific people you have shared it with. So there's another button up here on the right called an enable page level permissions. I don't recommend getting into that until after you've built your site and you might be interested. This just allows making some of your pages private, invite only, and others not. But before you get into that, just build it out privately. And if you want that information, the website that I'm going to offer you will tell you all about that. So we won't get into that now. So I'll click save. So I've now changed my share settings, and the share settings are now set to private, which means that only I can see it because I'm the only name in this list. So let's add another name to this list. I'm going to add my other personal account. And so once I add that name, I can click on Can Edit. I can make this person an owner like me, which means they can delete the site. So I don't want to do that. An editor can edit anything, but again, remember, anybody can undo anybody's edits. It's one of Google's guiding principles, is that collaboration is key. So anybody who's a collaborator on this site has the same permissions as any other collaborator. The only difference is that the owner can boot them and delete the site. And then can view, which means I can see it while it's private, but I can't necessarily edit anything or comment on it. So those are your options. And then I could add a message, notify people via email, hey, I'm inviting you to my site. And then I always recommend clicking send a copy to myself. So that once I click share and save, and I'll do that so you can see the result. Sharing with you, Yahoo. If I click share and save, I'm going to get a warning because I'm not within the University of Maine system, and I'm going to click yes. And so now, as it's doing that work, I'm about to see, once it finishes, I have two people who can see this site, both of whom are me and my two different accounts. And that's kind of useful because with my two different accounts, I can come in and visit it like a viewer. And just make sure, it gives me a way to double check that some of my settings are as I want them to be. And really, that's all there is to sharing. There's nothing else to it. It's that easy. So with everything that I've oriented you to today and kind of walked you through, the very next thing for you to do is to log in, get your site going, and start exploring. Click every button. Look at what it does. Take a peek at what you can do. And then, once you're familiar with the layout, when you know where the menu items are, then start designing out your website. And it's very easy. For this course, we're also going to have your own forum for questions and answers. When you come into something and you're saying, you know, I just don't see how to do this, how do you do it? You're going to have your own question and answer forum, and I'm going to be watching that question and answer forum, as are all of your classmates, so we can help each other. Don't just wait for me to answer a question. If somebody else sees it before I do and you know the answer, please, I think that's the best that we can do is learn together, work together, share together. If you know the answer to somebody's question, go ahead and give them that answer. But I'll be monitoring that question and answer session as well. So please know, help is close by. And I'm also going to be including a list of links that is a wiki in the resource that I'm building for you in your course, online course there. That means that any of you, if you come across resources that you think are especially useful and helpful and I haven't already added them, feel free to add them. Share the knowledge. If you have those resources available, make them available to others. If they helped you solve a problem, they may well help somebody else solve a problem. So with all of that said, I wish you luck. Please make sure you explore. That's the next step. I'm going to give you a list of tasks to do following this video. They're simple and they involve, as I've said many times now, your very next step, which is after creating your website, explore the buttons. Thank you very much, and please reach out through the forums if there's anything I can do to be helpful.